Habari za asubuhi. Ninaitwa Brian Friedman. I'm 5 years old, and I'm learning Swahili this year, so that's my new challenge. So I'm here to talk about preparation. The preparation I'm going to talk about is an event that I was involved in 13 years ago, this month. In May of 2004, I swam from Alcatraz to San Francisco. For those of you that don't know where San Francisco is, it's on the west coast of the United States in the state of California. Alcatraz is probably a famous island that you might have heard of, where there was a prison. It used to be a United States Army fort, and today it's a national park where you can visit. San Francisco is what you see on the bottom, and Alcatraz is the island you see in the middle. From Alcatraz to San Francisco is 1.5 miles, a mile and a half. For those of you that are Americans, I had to say that. For all the rest of us, it's 2,414 meters from Alcatraz to San Francisco. The water temperature in San Francisco is 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 10 degrees Celsius. So, why did I do this? And what was my preparation for this event? At the time, in 2004, I was living in San Francisco and I was a personal trainer. And I was working as a volunteer for the American Diabetes Association. Diabetes is an epidemic, and I'm not going to go too much into diabetes, but that's the reason I did this event. I wanted to raise awareness and some money about the epidemic of diabetes. Now, there are many different types of diabetes, and if you're a doctor in the audience, excuse my layman's explanation, but the type of diabetes that I was concerned with was what in the United States we call type 2. In the old days, it used to be called adult onset diabetes, and it is a scourge of the world today. In the United States, 1 out of every 3 children born will get type 2 diabetes. It is a disease that is very preventable. It is because of the poor lifestyle habits in America of modern families. Lack of exercise, poor diets. That's as far as I'm going with diabetes. But I felt, how can someone like me raise awareness of diabetes? I could go one by one, and that is effective, but I wanted to have a larger effect. So I decided that I would do a publicity stunt. I would swim handcuffed from Alcatraz to San Francisco, a mile and a half, in 10 degrees water. I am not an Olympic swimmer. I am not a college swimmer. I did not swim in high school. I swam maybe 2 years as a 3rd or 4th grader, on a swim team. I was raised in San Francisco. I do like going to the beach. How long can you survive in 10-degree water? Not very long. So part of my preparation was I began to make a plan. I began to look at how do you do this. So what's a good way to research how to do something? Well, the internet did exist 13 years ago. I know most of you might not know that, but there was the internet. Except there have probably only been 3 or 4 people that have done a stunt like this, and unfortunately, none of them were available to me. So I went out and I did my research. How does a 43-year-old man who's used to wearing a suit and tie swim a mile and a half? I grabbed a notebook and I started writing down everything I thought I would need to do. How long does it take you to swim a mile and a half? I had swum from Alcatraz to San Francisco before. Sometimes it took me 50 minutes, sometimes it took me 30. The current in San Francisco is very famous for being very, very difficult on certain days. On certain days, it's like a pond. I did not know what kind of day I was going to face. So, how do you prepare? I found anybody I knew that could help me with information, because I didn't do this alone. Nobody had done the swim, okay? Do I know anybody that has handcuffs? Fortunately, I had a brother-in-law who was a sheriff and gave me a pair of handcuffs. So, I put on a pair of handcuffs and jumped in the bay. Nobody around, nobody to see me. Also, probably not too smart because nobody to save me. And as I drifted by, I realized I'm really going to have to do some research on the currents, because this beach is in San Francisco and it goes out the Golden Gate. I got about 20 meters offshore and I realized I was drifting out the Golden Gate, and I had to swim as hard as I could just to make it back to shore and walk back to my car. I need to do some more research. How do I do that? I went to the Dolphin Club, which is a swimming club in San Francisco, found the most experienced swim master who runs a boat every day, and he said, no problem, we can do this. I'll give you dates. So now the tides are not my problem. Tides that will throw me out into the Pacific Ocean are going to be done by an expert. Okay. He said, how long can you stay in the water? I said, well, I've done 45 minutes. He said, double it. Can you stay in the bay for 90 minutes? I don't know. I'm going to start training. So I started training. I started swimming every single day in the bay until I knew that I could, in just a swimsuit, swim in the bay for 90 minutes. And then I did it in handcuffs. Nobody can teach you how to swim with handcuffs because nobody knows how to do it. So I started swimming with handcuffs. It was a complete failure. My back hurt, my shoulders hurt, so I invented a stroke. I'm handcuffed like this, I put my arms out, I bring them back in. Better do something with my feet. So basically I did the breaststroke with my feet. That's how I taught myself to swim. I gave myself 6 weeks. The boat you see in the back with the fellow in the yellow jacket, he's a retired sheriff in San Francisco. He spent 6 weeks talking to me and prepping me. The people in the kayak were a couple of friends, they were out as a safety boat. We went out kayaking every weekend, and they would simply follow me to see if I could actually do this. Preparation. I began planning. I arranged the planning. I went to a yacht club. Can I have a boat? Can I have a couple of people, your age, high school kids, who followed me because we needed the boat? I went to the American Diabetes Association and asked them to sponsor me. I went to a local sporting club, and they gave me swim caps, and they made a shirt for me that said, "Escape from Diabetes." That was the event. All of these things took time, and they were preparation. I didn't wake up one morning and decide I was going to jump in the bay and then just do it. I woke up one morning and decided I was going to do it. And that's something important for all of you. When I was your age, I might have been sitting in a meeting like this, and I would have been asleep. I'm a high school dropout, didn't graduate from high school, didn't graduate from college until I was 53 years old. You can do whatever you want. Wherever you are today, as my brother who spoke first said, you can accomplish that. You can do anything you want. Swimming from Alcatraz handcuffed is not that difficult, no matter what your physical capabilities are. I am an average to below average athlete. This was simply a mental training exercise. I enlisted friends, both in kayaks and in boats and in clubs, to follow me along. 2 days before the event, I went out with my friend in the yellow jacket, and he said, absolutely not, we can't do it. The water's too rough. The waves were 6 feet high. He canceled his normal swim. Complete failure. I had TV cameras. I had television shows that were going to tape me. I had newspaper reporters coming out because it's something that most people think is not possible. I said, okay, well, let's try Wednesday and see what the weather looks like then. As you can see, the San Francisco Bay was completely calm. There was one thing I hadn't planned for. I told the television cameras to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because the water was so calm, I finished early. It took me 54 minutes to swim from Alcatraz to San Francisco. The one thing I hadn't planned for was getting there early. So I literally had to sit outside the bay that I was landing and tread water for 10 minutes until a friend said, yeah, the cameras are ready now. You can never plan for everything, right? The one thing I didn't plan for. That's my brother-in-law, who was a sheriff, who's now retired, uncuffing me after 54 minutes. Those are TV cameras, those are newspaper cameras. The swim was unimportant. My goal and what I was preparing for was to raise awareness about the epidemic of diabetes. This was simply the way to do it. This is me talking on camera after they've taken the handcuffs off. Something I didn't plan for. After 50 minutes in the bay with salt water and cold water, when you're being interviewed on TV, you sound like this because I took the up. So again, I didn't plan for speaking after 50 minutes in the bay. I achieved my goal. My goal was to raise awareness about diabetes. This is the cover of the Oakland Tribune the day after the swim. I was on the cover of the Oakland Tribune, the San Francisco Examiner. So that is the front. In those days, we had newspapers. Some of your parents remember newspapers, right? So essentially, 4 million people the day after my swim saw my picture on the cover of the San Francisco Examiner and the Oakland Tribune. Those were the two of the larger papers. The morning news show on Fox News, which is a big network that you've heard of, they had it. 2 weeks later, Fuji TV from Japan called me and wanted to interview me. BBC also called me and interviewed me. So I was able to accomplish what I wanted, which was to raise awareness about diabetes. Swimming from Alcatraz, unimportant, but I put in 6 weeks preparation so I could achieve my goal. All of you can do the same thing. Make a plan. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need a Google Doc. You don't need an Excel spreadsheet. You don't need whatever else my brother who just spoke would know about technology, since I don't even know what you guys are using for homework. The bottom line, a piece of paper and a pencil, write down what you want to do and start building a team to help you achieve that. That's me handcuffed. That's me rubbing my wrists. But you see the team behind me. That's my friend in the yellow jacket. He's been swimming in the bay for 40 years. He's been living in San Francisco for 60. He designed the plan for me to succeed. The red jacket on the left is a high school student who gave up his morning to get up at 4 in the morning and ride me over in a boat and borrow a boat from a yacht club so that we could have a safety boat. That is the team that allowed me to achieve my goal. My parents are in there, my brother-in-law is in there, my best friend, another best friend who taught me to kayak and to swim in the bay while she was following me in the kayak. This is the team that I built. Again, I'm not a super swimmer, I'm not a super athlete. I designed a program to allow me to do what I needed to do. I practiced and thought about every single thing I thought that could go wrong. I obviously didn't think about a couple of things that could go right. I finished too early, and then I wouldn't be able to speak clearly while my mouth was frozen. All of you have a team, whether you know it or not. It can be your teacher in school, it's certainly your parents, it's someone you don't know. You look at any successful business person, Bill Gates, any successful politician, they have a team. And you know what? People that you don't even know today want to be on your team. My friend in the yellow jacket, who's a retired San Francisco sheriff, until I just walked into his office, where he runs the swimming at the Dolphin Club in San Francisco, he'd never heard of me. There's no reason he didn't throw me out. Instead, he said, yeah, we can do this. Let me look at the tide tables. Okay, these are the 6 days in May that you can do this thing. Let me get a boat. He couldn't get a boat. He said, go talk to somebody else and get a boat. Everybody can build a team to allow them to achieve whatever they want to do. Now, for 13 years, I've been living off this stunt. I just started training for a new job last year. 20 people, incredibly successful, award winners, Ivy League graduates, PhDs, people with all sorts of awards. They always talked about me first. Who swam from Alcatraz handcuffed? How'd that work? Do whatever you want to do, because there is nothing that is impossible. Primarily, I've aimed this talk at the high school kids, but I planned this when I was 43. I didn't graduate from college until I was 52. Nothing is impossible for any of us. And what I really want to get across, pull out that piece of paper today, pull out that pencil, and write down what you want to do, and then simply figure out how to do it. Build your team. Look for people who want to assist you, because there are lots of people who want to be on your team. Half the people in this picture did not know me 6 weeks before. My parents knew me, my friends knew me. The fellow on the left, he runs the American Diabetes Association. He was super excited to be there. The woman in red, she's a reporter for the Oakland Tribune. The woman in the swimsuit, I have no idea who that is. She decided to swim in with me. There's always somebody who wants to help you achieve your goals. And you may not even know who they are today. It doesn't matter when you want to achieve your goals. You start today. Don't worry about the past. I appreciate your time, and I just implore all of you not to think about where you are today, but where you want to be tomorrow. If you want to swim handcuffed, I do not recommend it. But there's absolutely no reason that whatever you want to do, for whatever reason, you can't accomplish. My goal, and I'm still doing it 13 years later, is to talk about diabetes. That's not what I do for a profession anymore. I'm not a personal trainer, but it is still a concern of mine. And now I've talked to 100 people about the scourge of an epidemic of diabetes. I've also talked to some young people about setting a goal. It's not that difficult to do the impossible. If I can do it, any of you can do it. I appreciate your time, and start today. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.